All right, let's officially start it. Ready? ModuCase, Moduspace, ModuWaste. I don't know what the hell they're called nowadays. April Fools. I don't.
Waste of time.
Yeah. So to be clear, I want to explain something about this conversation. This is my disclaimer. I do not own ModuCase. I have no interest in ModuCase. I'm not hating on ModuCase. I'm just being transparent as someone looking from the outside in. Obviously, my view is going to be limited because at the end of the day, I do not own the product. So you could say, hey, you're talking shit about something that you don't own. Fair. You can call me that just like every other YouTuber does. The fact is, though, the difference where I think is for me is that if I can't talk about it 100%, then I surround myself with people who can talk about it 100%. Hence why I made that video with Carlos a few weeks back where I just wanted to basically kind of start to peel back the onion on the whole ModuCase thing. And like I said, we made a video. I thought it was great. I thought we had great chemistry in the video. I think it was well received overall, mostly positive, pretty much really not a lot of negative on there. Great comments, fantastic engagement. So I really do thank everybody. If you haven't checked out that video, definitely go ahead. It was Carlos's YouTube debut. I think he did fantastic. He got a standing ovation from everybody. Everyone loved it and his thoughts. But Shawn, I know, he is a new ModuCase owner. And so he was building. What?
Before you said that, like I had an initial order of 8 like ModuCases.
Okay.
And then now I'm up to 24.
You hear that?
That was the second order, yeah.
Okay, 8 to 24. So when we were filming the video, I was going to have Shawn on, but he was like in the real early phases of building them. And even Carl, when we kind of agreed that, but I was thinking maybe, give him some more time. So I went with Carlos to do the video because he has them behind him. He's had them for a while. He was able to speak to them. And so the video was what it was. And it's really funny because then Shawn hit me up. It was like, I watched your video and it's like, man, I wish I was part of that thing. And I was like, well, let's save it for a part 2. We'll call it a part 2 eventually. And then Don Prime I brought in specifically for, because Don is literally, you could almost say he's like ground patient zero. He's like literally an OG of ModuCases. So therefore I can't think of honestly any 3 people with more knowledge about this. They're going to speak candidly, the truth, whether you like it or not. Tough shit. But the gentlemen on this panel were assembled for a reason, to basically give full knowledge and transparency that maybe I can't. Before we get started, Brad, I have muscle racks. So behind me are muscle racks that I built from Home Depot. I've made numerous videos on them. As a matter of fact, I have a new series that I do that's called Pros and Cons, where I do like 3 pros and 3 cons about just like anything 6 scale related. I have a couple videos out. I just filmed one about the muscle racks that I have to finish editing, where I did a pros and cons about them for someone that I've had them for like a year and a half now. But that being said, I want to jump in, and this is what kind of, I'm going to start it, and then maybe Carlos, we'll see where it goes. This thing came up. This thing right here. Oops, no, that's the wrong one. Well, yeah, that is that thing. You can't honestly get that on the website, so I apologize about that. We're going to go to here, elevate your thing. This right here is what kind of triggered me a little bit. And so I thought it was interesting where, ModuSpace case, whatever, ModuSpace. I'll be respectful. I'm not going to try to be sarcastic right now, condescending. But they're debuting this, introducing the Mono, fully adjustable, slim, sleek, coming soon. Great way to elevate your display game with Mono by ModuSpace. Introducing our newest innovation, a sleek, tall display unit featuring fully adjustable shelves and mesmerizing LED lighting that stretches from top to bottom. Stay tuned for the grand reveal. I'm not going to, I don't interact with a lot of channels anymore. Wonder why, because I have such a charming personality. But there's already YouTube reviews. I say reviews, so I'm not picking on anyone specifically. There's reviews on this product already that are out. And I thought it was interesting, is what it is. It's an alternative option. And I think, Carlos, we're going to jump to you and then, kind of start it. We'll ease our way into the conversation. But it's like, it was interesting because, there's no rule of thumb. Once again, you display your stuff how you want. Just like collect your own way. Nate always says that. Nate Meister, shout out, geeking out. He always says, collect your way. CMB always says it's your money. No one can tell you, what to buy. It's your money, that kind of stuff. So there's no one to criticize. Hey, no one's out there telling anyone you should display your stuff this way. I know there's people out there that still have DTOFs. Shout out to TK421 Collectibles. He just did a video about why DTOFs are still great, and he shouted me out in that. Awesome video, great. But I just think it's interesting how, as a we evolve, right, as collectors, space, and we all kind of naturally branched away from the DTOFs, partly because of price and availability, because they're what they are, they're limited. And their price was going up. I had DTOFs when they were $80 at IKEA. Now they were like 100 and something. I think they're even phasing them out, or they're just harder to get.
No, they're done.
Okay, they're done. So obviously, ModuSpace is capitalizing on an area that DTOFs can no longer fill the void. There's just like that IKEA best. What's that other one called? The
Bladen.
The Bladen. That's another.
Yeah, and again, but that's like I just got that, and I just built that today.
Let me pull you up full screen. Hold on a second. Let me
get out of
give
the way if I can.
There you go. I see it right
there. So that's the one with RoboCop in the second shelf. So I actually got that yesterday. I built that today. Yeah, so that's actually the replacement. So as you, I don't know if you can tell, but that actually has a metal frame. Now the only issue is it's approximately 20% smaller physically, both in overall dimensions and display availability size.
It looks smaller. It looks thinner, narrow.
It is, but it's only $80.
I got you. So,
and the DTOF at the last time they were selling them were
129 or 140.
Yeah, I mean, Pepperidge Farm remembers when they were selling for $59.99. That's how long I've been in the game.
Yep. So, I thought it was interesting how, and I don't know the official pricing on the ModuSpace, but it's definitely over 200. It's like a $230, 200. It's over two. Let's just say it's over 200 plus, right?
Yeah, they said 220 to 240.
And I'm like, what? Like what? That's kind of like really. And so I was just really kind of turned, and then Carlos, we're just gonna jump right in with you. You and I had some thoughts, and I'm just like, really, like. And the thing is that like they're boasting this thing 6-month lead time, which I personally don't see that being every 6 months.
Bullshit.
Yeah, it's bullshit. I mean, I'm talking about the YouTube reviews. I'm not hating on, but it's in, and I mean, and people are being transparent in the comments, by the way. They're calling them out saying like, this isn't going to be 6 to 8 months. This is going to be like a year. But my whole thing is you're basically doing a DTOF like product. It's probably going to have a year lead time, and you're charging $200+. Who the, I mean, it's just like, I know they're capitalizing on a market that's kind of like a niche, a niche market. But Carlos, dive in, dude.
I think, like you said, I mean, on the surface, it seems like a sound business decision for them. I mean, they're trying to fill that void that IKEA's leaving behind by discontinuing the DTOF. And like Don said, the new product, I mean, I'm sure it'll fit for a lot of collectors. What was the name of it again, Don?
The Bladen. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's a one-off.
Yeah. And then look, you have a nice little corner where it fit in perfectly for you. But I think it's not really a DTOF replacement. Other than the size, I think it also has a less of a weight.
Yeah, the shelves actually, they're a pound less on the overall maximum allowance.
So this makes sense. My only issue with it, the price, we won't know until it releases. We don't know the quality of it. I'm sure it'll be better than a DTOF. Honestly, it looks like good construction. I mean, and just to preface, I own ModuCases. I'm really happy with them. There were a few bumps in the road building them, of course, but I think my issue overall with this is that they're having issues with delivering product. Right? There's a lot of collectors out there that I mean, I waited 20 months. I know collectors that have been waiting longer than I have for their product orders for like standard ModuCases. And I think it's a matter of priority. They're holding a lot of people's money right now. There's a lot of people. I mean, look at Shawn. Shawn bought 24 cases with them. Shawn, do you have all of them, or are you still waiting on some of them?
Well, I had out of the 24 that I ordered, 22 were shipped. I was missing two risers.
And how long did you wait for all of it?
It was almost 2 years.
Yeah, right. So
it was almost 2 years, and then my collection evolved like 3 times during that time. Like that's the problem with like these long lead times. It's like, all right, like you don't. Okay, please, if you're less than a 1%er, if you can future think and you think like, okay, this is where my collection's going to go in a year and a half, 2 years from now. You can't. You pull the trigger when your collection's at the breaking point. That's what happens. I'm sorry, like, everyone does it. It's just like when your collection gets to the brim and you're putting 3 to 5 figures in each shelf of your DTOFs and everything else, and you finally fine, I'm going to pull the trigger and spend all this money for ModuCase and just get it so I can have all this room. And you look at it and you think you calculated, okay, 8 cases. That's all I need. Eight one, D40, 140s, max 140s. Boom. All right. Year and a half later, shit, I should have ordered 16 because my collection grew significantly. Hey, I got an extra statue. I got this or that, everything. Like now, like the the 13 DTOFs that I had, I have my ModuCase. I had the ModuCase is completely full, and and all 13 DTOFs completely full too. And I still had to have things out in the open air. It's just like, and then you pull down and you throw a trick. Okay, well now I learned my lesson. I'm going to order double of what I did before. Order 24, and then almost 2 years, and then I got a few missing pieces, and one of the parts was open, and I had missing parts for one. They were pretty good when I discovered it because like it was such a daunting like build and everything trying to put this together. Like I just like it sat there for a while, and because I know, like, I mean, I needed to take 2 weeks off from work to be able to put all these things together.
Yep.
And
wait,
and when I finally got around to it,
Sean, Hobie-Wan Kenobi with the favorite comment. I have this. A surprise ModuCase hasn't teamed up with InArt so they can deliver the figure in the DTOF in 10 years.
That's a good one.
As Denobi would say, 10 points for that comment.
Yeah, 10 points.
Yeah, but Cigars and Bacon is also completely right. Again, everything we talk about, you got to keep in perspective. We're fortunate that we can enjoy this hobby there, and you just got to sit back and be fortunate and, realize, in the good position we are to even be able to, engage in this hobby.
Sean, I didn't mean to cut. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Sean, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just had to read that. Continue, please.
Yeah, no worries. We're going to be bouncing
the platform to continue going, obviously.
Yeah, we're going to be bouncing around here a lot here. So like, but yeah, it just, and then when I ordered that other case, like just to kind of shortly wrap up really quick, it just, it's ridiculous just the lead time that it takes and how like now that I even got those other cases in, and when I build them, I'm still going to have to use the DTOFs. Like with all that, like that's how much the collection's grown just over 2 years for waiting for these, the other cases. But now this is what they're doing here is absolutely ridiculous. Like if they're selling this for between 240 to 220, 240, don't forget your shipping, boys and girls. Don't forget your shipping. So you're looking at $300. An extra $60, 60, 40, $30. Guess what? You got yourself a nice max ModuCase or DF ModuCase.
Yeah.
And so and like that can hold a hell of a lot more than that. And then now what you're not seeing right here, I want to see a line of these where you have like 4 or 5 of them in a row. And what you're gonna notice most about this? It's not the lighting. It's gonna be, wow, that's a lot of black strips breaking up my figures. Because look how thick those bars are, like in the because like I think that front of that is just acrylic, and it's just really thick with has a thick border. It's the felt.
It's the felt covering. Yeah, it's the felt covering over the acrylic. However, on that, it actually looks thicker than the standard, covers on the cases for both the DF and the 6-skill. It almost looks artificially larger to somewhat. I don't know. Is that like an art decision, or is that trying to be like fancy with the display options? Because the thing is, I'm looking at the new IKEA one, and overall, even with the metal frame, there's less visual distortion on the IKEA one than this, and this is supposed to be the newly designed model. I mean, and here's the thing: do we actually know what the width is, or the volume is?
To be fair, I honestly don't want to be a dick, and I'm really trying to be. I'm trying to be as neutral, fair, and transparent as possible. I know that there's reviews that have been done out there that really do break down the specs. To be honest with you, and don't take this any disrespectful. I don't want to give clout to any other channels. So by putting up a video review, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm being really honest and I'm being fair, so no one can say that I'm talking shit about anybody. I just don't prefer to put up other channels' content on mine that just from specific people, just to be fair. But I know that there's YouTube videos out there, at least 3 or 4, that have done complete breakdown videos of all this, the specs, the building process. So fair to those people. It's not hard to search, to be honest with you. If you go to Google and just type in Moduspace mono, 3 videos pop right up, 1, 2, 3. I'll say that and I'll leave that there. I just don't want to give clout to anybody else. I'm just trying to be fair, keeping to my own my own little bubble here. But there is breakdown videos that maybe answer a lot of these questions. So we're not trying to sit here and be ignorant. But I want to be transparent with those watching. Like, we're not sitting here dumb. There is content out there to watch. I just prefer not to put it up on the screen. Sorry, but my stream, my rules.
So yeah, and I watched those reviews. So I saw the pros and cons and everything. And then, but my follow-up questions is I want to see a bunch of these lined up, and you can really tell, because like you have a thick black strip on one. Now you line it up another one. Don't forget that's going to be double the width of a black strip side by side. And so that really stands out. And that's when, and if this is supposed to be a DTOF killer, there's more visibility on a DTOF.
Well, it's funny how that's supposed to be a DTOF killer, but then everyone who's reviewing these have full-blown ModuCases. So it's what gets me, and Carlos, I know you touched on it. I don't mean to call you, but it's like, and where I want, there's two things I want to get into, like the real meat of, but we're going to get to that in a second. But like, it's interesting how backlogs and listen, I'm being super naive in what I say, and that's fine. He's like, oh, well, you're, as a consumer, it's interesting when you have people complaining about the lead times on this stuff, but yet you have the time to R&D something like this and get it shipped out to people at no cost to do reviews on it, where it's like you're just putting it back into a vicious cycle where I would be totally fine. I'm not even lying. If this was a guaranteed 3-month or under lead time and it was like $130 and you guaranteed it within I don't expect it to be a month, but like it's going to be a year. It's going to be 6 to 8 months to a year. Just, it is what it is. And I understand as a small business, you have to grow. Once again, if it sounds like I'm hating, I'm just trying to be like, as a consumer, and I'm seeing what's going on. And not for nothing, if you're watching this or on the replay, read the comments that I'm pulling up. Okay. Once again, it's not me saying anything like, oh, Mr. Mom, because I'm labeled as a hater. I'm labeled as this. I can care less. But like, go back and read the comments, right? 18K, 160 is nuts. Yeah, I got 18 cases. Wait time's always been a big issue, like the product, but honestly, need real competition in the market. Okay, that's fair, 100%. There was other comments going on here, just going through. They say these are going to be contracted out to someone else making them, so the lead time will be less. I waited 16 months for mine, and they just arrived. Let's see, Jedi CRI waited 11 months for my orders to arrive. Order batch was Black Friday 2023. Batman Collectibles, I put a custom order in of over $4,000, paid half up front, waited 45 months. I know, impatient, and I said, screw it, I want my money back, canceled, and got all my money. So let's see, Brad says my buddy waited over 2 years for his cases. He actually forgot about them. None of these are me. These are people watching me right now putting these comments up. So for those out there that think I'm hating, you hate the viewers, because those are the comments. When Carlos and I did the video, those are the comments. So if that's the stigmatism from people out there that these things just take forever, I'm just saying it's kind of odd to be. I mean, I know as a company, companies have to evolve and put out new products, but when people are constantly complaining about lead times, it's just interesting how like you just put another product in the market that's just going to add to the lead time. And can I just say one more thing? I've had people comment on the video that literally said, well, as hot toy collectors, you wait a year for the figures anyway. So what's the difference in base? I'm paraphrasing, but you wait a year to a year and a half for hot toys or Jazz Inc. products in our products. What's the difference in waiting for your display?
Well, if they put a head sculpt on the case with rooted hair.
Oh, I'll tackle that.
Wait, Shawn, you can go first, and then Don.
Okay.
Well, I would say, well, I mean, if ModuCase put a head sculpt on each of the cases with rooted hair, then sure, I'll wait a year and a half.
I mean,
all right.
It's just that's a stupid argument.
Don,
that's a stupid thing.
All right, so okay, there's a difference again for ModuCase, for someone, and I'll jump on this, putting in a custom order based on custom specs, that are going to require custom sourcing of, certain sizes or bits or whatever. But essentially, these models are predetermined specs, sizes with predetermined qualities, tolerances, and other products that need to be used. So when you're seeing all these lead times jump to almost triple what you're estimated at, that leads to a couple of different issues. That's a factory issue. That's a sourcing issue. That's a material you sourced issue. So again, and I know that ModuCase was talking about, trying to put robots into their factory, and they were going to try and invest, and they were going to, cut down on lead times.
Did he open a new factory, or did he have a factory that burned down or something like that? Did he
I know. Well, like
that's
supposedly, the Halon system went off. That damaged a lot of the product and a lot of the actual machinery and die cast and tooling that actually went into the process. So, I mean, at this point, I don't know how much that is actually a factor, because that, in the overall scheme, that's relatively recent, because the long backlogs at this point have been going on for 36 to 40 months. So, the issue of the backlog well preceded, the issue in his factory. Now, that is absolutely compounded onto his current issues, and that's a domino effect. Everything is cascading down. But to jump onto your comment about him developing a new product, putting it out right now, for review, but while there's such a massive backlog on the basic products, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, that's a kick in the balls to their customer base, especially the ones that have them on order, and they keep saying like, oh, it's not going to be 6 months, and it's like a year and a half later, and they still don't get their ModuCases.
But
well, and here's
I just want to say one thing. I mean,
okay.
We talked about Hot Toys. The big difference between Hot Toys and Moduspace is that Hot Toys is still delivering product. You may wait 2 years for a specific figure, but they're still putting product out. Like, everybody's waiting 2 years for these orders. These orders don't filter in. They come in big shipments. There's literally periods within the year where no product's being shipped, is what I've gathered from what I've seen.
Oh, absolutely.
And on top,
and
to ride on Carlos's bandwagon there, Hot Toys releases a different figure every time. These are the same damn ModuCases that are just aluminum rods with LED lights. You can source all these parts on Amazon. You can get them made to order.
Well, that's what Collector's Entity said. He basically said, it's aluminum rods and channels and plexiglass. So you're doing a majority of the build anyway. So like realistically, how hard, and I'm not trying to be like an engineer, like but you're cutting material, how hard can that be to really have to ship that kind of stuff, and that's what's interesting. And, and Premium Rock Base says, when the owner of your company jumps in to bump up orders for influencers to keep them happy from speaking out, it might be time to get together, to get it together instead. I mean, they're being given away as giveaways, right? Cases are given away. And the thing about it, and like I said, it's just, in Shawn, it's kind of like how we talk about with Jazz Inc., where, if it sounds like it's hate, I mean, don't misconstrue hate with just being critical. And that's the problem. If people want to, and I'm going to put this in air quotes, the community, is that there's too much positivity and there's just not enough like critical thinking and having real conversations about it. Like, we're being just critical about the product. But here's the thing. 3 people on this panel own the product and have spent thousands of dollars. So, and yeah, I haven't. Okay. 3 out of 4 people, have spent thousands of dollars on this product, just like Jazz Inc. Shawn has spent thousands of dollars. I have a Jazz Inc. product on order. So, Don, you bought Jazz Inc., right? You have Jazz Inc.?
I don't.
No, you don't. But I'm just saying, it's like when we talk about Jazz Inc., there's 3 or 4 people that are owners, which is all of us but Don. So we all own stuff in one way, form, or another. So it's not like we're sitting here totally with our, just bitching. And we're not putting our money where our mouth is, right? We're buying the shit, but we can still be critical about it. It's because we're putting our money into it. It's just, you're just trying to figure out the workings of it, is, I guess, is a nice way of saying it. 3 out of 4 dentists choose. Man, you're on fire. You are on fire tonight, CMB. You're on fire.
All right, can I just?
No,
jump in. All right, so again, so for as far as ModuCase, I am a way back OG, backer. Now, again, just a real quick YouTuber. He does Masterpiece Star Wars stuff. His name was Bobby Skullface. Still does stuff. He was actually one of the first people to actually get wind of this. I saw one of his videos. I did the research, and so I think it was Black Friday 2018 or even 2017. It's been that long. I dropped a massive order. And the thing is, I only waited like 7 months. And I think I got like 7, 8 cases in one giant order. And then like Hatelorian, I, got a whole bunch of other cases. But then it went to like 11 months. Then after that, I started to see issues. I bought cases. It was missing stuff or parts were damaged. And, the reason parts were damaged is because say what you want about IKEA, they actually have engineered their packaging to, somewhat protect the best of the ability of the items in the package when you take it home. ModuCase never got to the point where they actually engineered their own specific packaging for the case. Because I've had, orders where, the door or the front screen, the bottom half of, the right corner would be broken off because there was no support.
I can one up you there, Don. When I had my big batch delivered, one of the riser boxes had the aluminum rods jutting out of it, and then it was like, and then another part was taped onto it, and then like on it.
Oh yeah, no, I had a Max 140 where one of the main frames was literally like twisted at such a degree I couldn't even, put the base frame on. But part of the thing is I have actually as half my collection is Generation 1 ModuCase.
I wanted to get into that, and Carlos wanted to talk about that. We want that's one of the couple of things I did want to touch on, not to cut you off, but Carlos, I don't think you talked to Don about this, and he wanted to talk about the generational style cases. Continue, but that was a very important thing that we wanted to talk about.
Right.
I know they ship from Singapore, right?
Brad says, didn't they ship from Taiwan?
No, they're not from Taiwan. They're from Singapore or Philippines.
So what are you saying about the Generation 1? So there's like a Generation 1 and then there's like a Generation 2?
Yeah. All right. So I bought my cases. I bought DF120s and DF130s. So they're tall and the long ones. And at the time, I also bought, the top boards, which, they're basically, the coverings for the top. Now, when I bought the Generation 1 cases and the coverings, they had a specific set, dimensions. The cover, like the front acrylic covers were a certain size at a certain covering because the frame was set a certain way with the magnetic attachment points. The risers were done a certain way. And then actually the inner channels were done a certain way where when you added the shelves, it almost was self-reinforcing. And then the top risers, they had the MDF board as the base, but then they also had the the synthetic cowhide on it. So it actually felt like a top riser, but you've got that surface where you can actually support other things. Like as you can see, I have other ModuCases on those hide base shelves. Now, when you start going to Generation 2, you start seeing a difference in the overall frame dimensions where, the magnets on the front frame attached to the screen, or the front acrylic panel, those are different. The inner channels are different. They visually don't look different because they're only a few millimeters off, but they have been re-engineered. So as far as, if you have any shelves, accessories, anything from Generation 1, they will not fit in Generation 2. And again, that goes from anything like, say you have, for whatever reason, have an extra front acrylic case panel from a Generation 1 and you have a Generation 2 case. You want to, just replace that. You can't. You have to buy a new one because the generational framing is different. The dimensions are different as far as where certain items are located, the framing. And there was a downgrade in quality. It almost to the point where it got to the point where so many orders were being accepted. It was such a, I don't want to say a downgrade in quality control. It's just they're pumping out so much stuff so quickly. They're also probably trying to source material at a lower rate, which means mass quantity of a lower quality at lower rate.
Just to there's a couple more questions. I think this is a good point. So Shawn is going to start unboxing because we're about an hour
Okay.
in. I know I said 2 hours, so it's a good amount of time just to kind of get the preliminaries. So he's going to start unboxing the 2022 the Batmobile. He got the weather version specifically. That is the weathered he got. So he's going to be doing. We do have another camera set up when it comes time. We have the Hate Cam, which is another alternate view, which will be zoomed in more, which will go full screen with that. In the meantime, like I said, while Shawn's kind of doing that, I do have a question. I think Carl said, so does Gen 2 work with Gen 1? So if you have Gen 1 cases and you buy Gen 2, just I'm being very nice, like not to dive too much into it because I do want to focus on the unboxing, but you buy Gen 2, are they compatible? Do they hook up? Does everything works? Or do you have to stick with each
As
generation?
far as like the base frames, because I've got a Gen 2 tall DF, and I've got that on the side of my, like, one of my main OG collections. I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't even attempted it
Well, that's fine.
because
No, I'm just curious.
I don't want the hassle of having to go in and screw everything, and then one thing lines up and then it warps the frame for whatever reason. No. But one of the biggest disappointments though is I had, again, like I said, I bought the Generation 1, the top shelves. They had the MDF board, but they were covered in the synthetic hide. So I got the Gen 2 boards and I ordered them, through Spec Fiction, local figure, and they'll get them. I waited 16 months for the Gen 2 boards, and they were literally just MDF board.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they're already warping. They are literally warping. Like, one of the side corners is pitched at a 60-degree angle up. And if I'm paying $50, for the 6 scale, the long 120 board, and it's warping within 6 months, that's atrocious. I mean, the quality control, just how someone who has, again, been with this company from day one, who has seen the Generation 1 products, and now seeing the Generation 2 products go to such a downgrade, it's almost insulting.
So real fast, because I got a couple questions around, and then I think we're going to move into the meat of the conversation if we don't mind. So Big Dog Pound was saying, so you're not sure if the different batches you connect them. So that you just basically answer that question. So if you buy ModuCases from different batches, you cannot
Or
connect them.
generations.
Generations is the
real
correct term.
quick. I just have a question to kind of cement all this. Like, where's the cutoff for Gen 1 and Gen 2? Like, I'm trying to understand.
I actually don't know.
That's the thing, yeah. And I don't even know if I have Gen 1 or Gen 2 cases because I got these all in one batch. And I have an order of some accessories like toppers and everything. And
Well, usually if you would have got the batch recently, then it's all going to be Gen 2.
correct.
Like,
Well, I got mine.
I mean,
like
Denobi probably
over a
has
year
some
ago.
Gen 1. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, when you're first adopter of it.
Yeah,
So,
like 2018, 2019, 2020 is probably Gen 1.
So Shawn, let me ask you a question, because if you don't mind, because I know Carlos, I think Carlos, I not to overshout, but I think you kind of said a lot of stuff that you wanted to say. I know the one thing I want to talk about Shawn about, and then we're going to move into what the big boy is, the flex behind you. Shawn, I honestly have heard some stuff going on, but can you kind of, like, you take the time that you want, short, sum it up, whatever you want to do. Can you just explain your experience thus far and where you stand? I know you've kind of told us how much you've bought, but can you tell us where we stand in the build process, how far you've gotten, and like what? And I know, and I'm not trying to kind of call you out, but I know you said like it's hard. Like I asked you how everything was going, you're like, that's a conversation we need to have. Like it wasn't easy just to text back and forth. But like, can you, as much as you're willing to forthcome, if you don't want to say as much, it's up to you. But if you want to, whatever you want to divulge, but kind of where you stand to kind of even the panel, like where are you at right now? Like, are they fully built? What's going on?
I have probably about 35 to 40% of it built right now. I was starting up to set up a display area in a new location, and then I decided that's probably not the wisest place to have my display, like in the long term. And and then now, yeah, now just kind of really kind of thought about like, okay, where do I want to be in the long term? What you know, and what really makes sense, and where where do I want to display my collection? And so now, I just kind of just actually even today I rented had a U-Haul, and I started moving my whole stuff over to a new location, and now just now my hell of setting everything back up again is about to begin.
So the video that you sent me, you deconstructed all that?
I didn't deconstruct it.
But you moved it.
I just moved it. Yeah,
Okay,
like
so because you sent me a video when the back, like showing me like the base layout. So like none of
Yep.
that's technically there. Like that's gone. Like you
Yeah, I removed. I took all that out and everything. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just curious to know.
Yeah. So now I'm setting up setting up a like pretty much it's a room large enough where it's going to have all the ModuCases set up the way I originally wanted to have it set up, and then I'm still have another huge wall that I can still anything that's left over or overflow I can toss into detofs that I still have left over.
Now one comment that you had made to me, if you remember, because for those on the panel that don't know, Shawn took a video and like he was walking around with his phone. He sent me like a 3-4 minute video. One thing that stood out to me, and I don't know if you could speak more about it, just you were kind of, I don't know if pissed is the right word, but like you were like when you started building them, you were even like, I could re-engineer these things even better. Like the design sucked. Like the way that like it came shipped, that it had to be built, it was like it was an inferior way of doing it, basically. Like that I mean, is there something like you can kind of like touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, so like I mean, just if the boxes, if how they ship it in very like I mean the boxes are long, but they try to keep the height of the boxes to as little as possible, and by doing that they deconstruct everything. So you have to put everything together. But there's a like just like how they do that front plate, when you do have that initial plate, they just do the front initial part. They can do that with everything. They could do that with the like the whole front, the back, and you just have 4 connectors, and that's it. And they and the way those weight distribution bars and everything else could be that could be engineered right into it, like just in the box and then flat. Like they could just be folding like connected, and then just one screw each. Like this, it could be a lot simpler. Like where I can get a D140 now, like or a Max 140. I can build that probably now in about 50 minutes. And like, but that's after, okay, but the first one is going to take you 3 hours minimum. Now that I got that corner unit, that took me days because like there was no video, there was no instructions. It was just a ton of guesswork of me putting it together, taking it apart, putting it together, taking it apart. Now there's a video of the DF version of the corner unit, but not the Max version. And the Max has all different parts. The DFs has the thin aluminum rod. These had the double. Okay, now they got the double, but now does the support rods go on the top, on the bottom? Some go on the bottom, some go on the top of the racks. Okay, and how the corner pieces were. It was bonkers.
Yep.
Like and I emailed ModuCase a dozen times like what the F, like I've been at this for like a week and a half now. I'll spend like a couple hours a day on it trying to figure it out, and then I'm looking at the videos and everything, trying to calculate how they're doing it, and that instructions was just garbage. And so the corner unit is what really pissed me off, and I still got 2 of those to put together. At least I got the first one, and I can go by that. And then the risers was another issue because I started to put everything together, and then like when I started putting everything, okay, you got to do the risers first. So when I did the riser for the corner unit. All right, that was a problem. Then I go riser to do the DF or the first 140, and then realize it's missing parts. I was like, fuck. All right, so then I start going looking for okay, well then I'll put together the other 2 Max 140 risers missing. And so now, and then I'll have the risers for the Max 70s, but I don't have like, so I need risers for everything, because otherwise, it's either all or nothing to be able to connect them all together. So then I had to, once I figured that out, then I called customer support. Then they air shipped those ones, and that took about 2 weeks.
Interesting. So that's where you stand right now. So yeah, Carlos, you're gonna.
No, I just want to say something for the benefit of the audience, because I know Shawn's going through a lot, but just to explain, when you get these cases, they literally come in a flat box. I think he mentioned, but it's a flat box. The only thing that's somewhat assembled is the front part of the frame where the acrylic goes. They have the screws, but they're loose. You have to tighten them, and you have to line everything up. And all the other rods that mentioned, the rods that go the run of the depth, the back portion, ones that run across in the back, those all just come completely separate.
Yeah,
And
the only one that comes
a bag of
attached.
screws, a bag of washers. Like, if you don't like putting furniture together, it can be overwhelming and daunting.
And you got chubby fingers. I'm sorry, Don, but like you got chubby fingers, man. You're gonna. There's a lot of cursing and swearing. You're gonna think your family and friends are gonna think you develop Tourette's, because like you're trying to like and you're holding these things, and you got the screws and the washer, and you're trying to like pry this. Then you get the double ones where you're trying to get 2 washers and screws here, and then you got 2 washers screwed down on the bottom, and then you're trying to line those up, and with that, it's just like.
Yeah, I mean, and again, some of the products, the only actual part besides from the screen that has the magnets on it is the actual front plate that has the magnets already for the screen itself. But you have to build everything else basically off that 4 pieces of bar that someone happily, thankfully for you, just put 4 screws in. And half the time you have to undo those because they're so shoddy, or they're bent in shipping because it's not reinforced.
Oh, and the worst part is when they machine it, those screw holes, and then you're okay. You're putting the screw in, and guess what? And it stops going halfway. It's like,
they didn't bore it all.
Okay, not, and then you strip the tooling in there, and so now you can't get anything in there for like any further. It's just like, fuck. Okay, then you just have to do it without the bolt on that one. Without the screw.
I say
on that
one thing. I know we mentioned the angle of putting money in like priorities, right? We mentioned how they're putting money into R&D instead of actually shipping the product, which is like my main issue. That's really what's got me upset about everything. They're holding on to people's money and they're putting out new product and haven't even shipped what they have on order. The other thing is, why don't they invest in, like you mentioned, the packaging, then in putting instructions in this thing? I mean, like the cases I got, fortunately, had some videos. They linked out to a YouTuber's channel. They don't even have their own video. That kind of annoyed me. But like, okay, you can't put product out without instructions. That really pissed me off when you just said they put out that corner unit, that max corner unit with no instructions. I didn't even know that. Like, put a piece of paper in it to at least give you a start or something to do with it. If you don't know, like the way this thing comes, when you look at it, there's no way. Like, it's impressive that he actually got anywhere putting this stuff together without any kinds of instructions. It's crazy.
Batman Collectible says, you always question if you made the right decision. Hearing all this makes me thankful I canceled. I'm an electrician by trade and can do just about anything, but this sounds like a nightmare. That's fair. Like I said, it's just
you'd be able to build like being an electrician and all that. You'd be able to build the garage racks and then add the fine finesses to it, and not to mention probably get a hell of a lot better lighting.
Well, that's kind of the thing I talked about with the racks behind me, is that these, the differences between like this, and I don't think there is a perfect option, but I think in my video, I don't want to spoil too much, but one of the things I said, you're just limited by your imagination. Like, there is no how-to on a muscle rack. But that being said, it's as far as you want to take the design, in terms of how far do you want to push it? Like, hey, I did this. All right, I want to go a little further. I want to do this. Like, I didn't put plexiglass on mine, but when I move out of this room downstairs, I might then put plexiglass on them just to protect. But there's just evolvements that you can do over time. One could argue that I'm spending equal amount of money, redo it. I understand that. It depends on. I personally can never wait a year for display cases. I know for a fact the one behind me, which is 60-inch wide, 72 high, and 24 deep, it took me 2 weekends to build this. I know in the back of my head that if my collection gets maxed and I need to go out and get another muscle rack, I'll have one fully built in 2 weeks because I know what my DIY skills are. So I know that I can plan out 2 weeks ahead of time. I'll have another display case. 2 weeks, another display case.
Well, as one of my final notes, like I said, I've ordered ModuCases twice from Moduspace, and I've dropped more money than I like to admit on it. I'll tell you right now, I won't order from them again.
Yep.
I'm going to go for, I'll get the muscle racks and I'll spend the time. Because you know what? I'll spend just as much time putting them together, and I won't have to spend. Then I won't have to wait a year and a half for them.
Yeah.
So like, and there's more than enough DIY videos out there that do a really good job. The hardest part is just getting the acrylic, and just getting that cut. But I mean, like Home Depot and Home Hardware now you can get that cut. You can order that online now and get it cut.
No, you can order online and get a custom cut
Yeah.
and put it right in. And like I said, I've gone 2 years without acrylic behind me just because it's like I'm interacting with my display so much that I just opted not to have acrylic on there. But who says I won't put it on in the future? Who knows? That's why I put side panels on, by the way. I know it's hard to see, but I have panels on the sides, like right there behind Vader. That's all black. I paneled the sides just to save money on, I'll just need front glass, just to instead of doing panels on the sides, I'm just going to do them in the front to save on money. But it is what it is. But I think we've wrapped. I think we said what we had to say. Like.